Mate, you see the shit the wankers are doing in Kokilkini?
Tell me about it.
They're having to undertake a joint operation involving special agencies just to halt the planned slaughter of
Oh,
geese.
are these like special agencies? You're saying like this is an anti goose task force we've been talking about, or is this like a anti goose task force?
The second one.
All right, well, tell me more about it.
They are discovering what is called an, quote, unsupervised food business, which is said to be preparing the geese for slaughter in the Christmas market.
And whoa, what? Wait, I can't do it anymore. Where is this happening?
This is in Ireland, in Kilkenny, which is like Letterkenny's sister city, but Irish.
I think you got that wrong. It's Kakakani.
What?
Anyway,
Sure.
so it looks like these people took action with this anti goose task force just based on the fact of like on foot investigations. Does that mean they don't even have bikes in Ireland? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, what they all they have is Guinness and the things that transport Guinness to places.
Well, yeah, shit, that's actually like a pretty good deal.
And I
I'm in
don't
on
think
that.
you like it's just not efficient to load up a bike with Guinnesses, so
You
but
think it'd be anyway? Yeah, I don't know. But so what the fuck is up with this? Yeah, so people, hang on, just so I get this straight, the Food and Safety Authority of Ireland discovered
Fasai.
unsupervised food business where farmers were preparing to slaughter geese for the Christmas market. So they're planning on eating goose for Christmas. That's what you're telling me is going on here?
that is what this article is saying.
What the fuck? Dude, that's not even like
Who even eats geese?
who eats geese at all? We're like the trash bird. You know when people
Right.
talk about trash fish? We're trash bird. I love us, but geese
Oh,
is not
yeah.
a tasty food. It's also not a moral thing to do. Geese have really higher formed brains than a lot of humans do. And so in a way when you wholesale slaughter geese like this, it's like slaughtering just a bunch of people, and that's not cool.
And look, we slaughter geese. Apparently, we slaughter ducks. Why do swans get left out of this? Just
Yo, fucking
oh, you're
swans,
so
let's-
elegant. We're not gonna eat you. Miss me with that shit.
I beat the shit out of like 6 swans the other day by myself. Granted, I am in a
Single-wingedly?
human body now, but I still beat the shit out of them. I quacked at them a lot.
So not single-wingedly then.
I mean, well, okay, if I'm being
Single-handed.
honest,
Yeah.
well, I was wearing my goose costume. I have a goose suit that I like to go out and just kind of like quack around in. So technically it was single-wingedly, but anyway, all that to say, it's not even, it's just, how can you define a Christmas meal with a goose? That's not even how you define a Christmas meal. It's not the main course that
Like-
you worry about with Christmas meals. It's the sides.
Right?
And let me tell you, nothing pairs well with goose meat. I've tried. It's fucked up, but I
Yeah.
tried.
Not even mac and cheese. And if you can't make mac and cheese fit with goose meat,
Ugh.
well, what are
Goose-
you even doing?
Mac and cheese with chunks of goose meat in it? That sounds fucking disgusting. So the good news here is that the FSAI did shut this down. You know, they have seen a rise this year in unsupervised food businesses like this, but it seems like they're cracking down pretty hard, which is dope. You know, like just last year they shut down, or last month, excuse me, they shut down 3 sushi restaurants in Dublin. Oh my god, after the food was being prepared in a bedroom.
Of a house in Santry?
What is Ireland? What?
What?
Why? Why Ireland? I'm gonna.
And how have they figured out COVID response, but not us?
I don't think they figured it out. I think that's the point of the unsupervised food businesses.
No, I heard Flash Gordon say something about it the other day. unruly geese.
In space.
Space, the final frontier. These are the flappings of the unruly geese. Their episode-long mission to explore the difference between fake sci-fi universes, to seek out a new life and a new civilization, to boldly fly where no goose has flown before.
That's right, everybody. The episode nobody's been asking for. Your goose is loose in space. And basically that just means we're going to take a bunch of popular sci-fi properties set in the future, run them through our made-up algorithm, and decide which future we want to live in. So, Luke, if you want to take it away and introduce the 6 futures that we're looking at.
Alrighty, so we have picked 6 either television shows or movies to go through. First off, we have The Expanse. Catch that on Amazon Prime. It's the story of James Holden and his ragtag group of characters going through a very realistic version of what space could look like in the coming century or two. Next up, we have Star Wars. I'm not even going to explain that one. Up next, we have Star Trek, then Firefly, Rick and Morty, and Alien. So, let's start off with, who is this galaxy's best captain? So, for The Expanse, it's got to be James Holden, the main character of the show. This is the guy who was the fireball hands in Sky High. So, fun fact.
No way, really?
Yeah, he's the captain. War and Peace.
You're talking about War and Peace. Yeah, we're going to come back to that one, but that's fucking dope. I don't know anything about this show other than it's been described as like Game of Thrones in space. And so, in relation to Game of Thrones, is this like the Ned, the John, the Rob?
I would say this is a lot like the Rob. He he's caught himself in a very interesting position of power. He definitely has people under him, and he has to make quick, critical decisions in a lot of cases. He's very good on his feet. He can see all sides of an angle. He is a little over-passionate in some cases, and that can impact his decision-making. But yeah, I would say actually Robb Stark is a pretty good analogy.
He dead too? Like Rob?
No, he's
Who's
alive.
dead?
That's
whack.
He's still kicking.
All right. Well, next up, we're going to roll right into Star Wars. And, I mean, the obvious choice here is Han Solo. Who the fuck else are you going to choose, man? Like
Chewie.
See, but Chewie...
Or does
Chewie's
Chewie
always
come
the co-pilot.
In the Han Solo, yeah.
He's always the co-pilot. Lando, Rey, fucking Luke, even at one point. Like, he's always the co-pilot. Chewie, I think, is, without a doubt, the smartest and most adept flyer outside of maybe Anakin in the series. But when it comes to commanding a ship, unless that ship is Wookiees who can understand what Chewie's saying, I think it has to be Han, who definitely leans on Chewie when he needs some help there.
That's definitely true. But on the other side, I don't know if Han Solo is going to inspire confidence on that leadership side.
I mean, that's a good point. His entire thing with the Rebel Alliance was that he's a lone wanderer doing his thing. Like, he only came on as a gunslinger. He's not like a Poe Dameron type. But I also don't think Poe's the best captain by any means. So.
Oh, no. I think Han definitely takes the cake here. And I think just the one dig on it is, yeah, he's not going to give that all-arousing or that pump-up motivational speech in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. He's like the James Harden of space travel in a galaxy far, far away.
He does like strip clubs.
Amazingly talented, and he loves strip clubs, but he's not going to inspire any leadership. So, I mean, obviously, though, so then in that case, I would say Holden is definitely still probably in a firm lead of who do you want leading a ship full of people so far?
I would agree with that. That's just the slight edge Holden has over Solo. So let's talk about Star Trek then.
Captain Picard. Yeah.
and see, I think this one might come down to the Star Treks that we've seen and haven't seen, because I've only seen the Chris Pine movies, none of the old TV shows. So obviously, Kirk is my argument.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. First of all, because Chris Pine is not Captain Kirk. Okay? Here's the deal. William Shatner is Captain Kirk, and his delivery is rough, at least to say the least. I'm trying to do my best
Well, have you ever looked
at
at
letting you know what Shatner is like right now, but you see, it's a really difficult way of speaking, and this would get pretty irritating if I was your captain and constantly stopping when I was in the middle of sentences, maybe even words like that. You know, Kirk is not going to inspire leadership. He's going to inspire chaos. Which
he's a lot like Han Solo too in that regard. But yeah, William Shatner does always look like he has recently finished eating a cheddar biscuit from Red Lobster and is still kind of munching through some of it.
You're right about William Shatner now, but if we're just basing this on looks only, young William Shatner playing Captain Kirk back in the day, dude's a stud. So
not in
talking
terms
no
of
trash.
Belly. In terms of it's probably pretty hard to get words out of your mouth if you're
yeah, he's just stuffing his face, and I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
And Shatner just looks like a guy that has enjoyed a biscuit.
Look, here's the deal. There's only one captain so far who has an accent that makes him sound refined as hell, and it's Captain Picard. So, next.
So next up we have Firefly. Who you got for Firefly here, Grant?
Well, I mean, it's an obvious choice. It's a frustratingly short show with one main group of people led by our boy Malcolm Reynolds, Mal. And I guess the one thing is it's more of a bandit crew than it's like a ragtag team of people down on their luck who are just trying to make their way in the universe, rather than like a Captain Picard, like an exploration, or even like a Captain Kirk, like an exploration crew, or like a Star Wars fighter pilot. And so I think the delineation there is just, if we're trying to get in some trouble, Mal is definitely the guy we got to go with. You know, he may not be for everybody, but if we're trying to get in with his crew and just roll deep with him for 4 or 5 years, making some money, getting into trouble, finding hot space babes to do stuff with, Mal's our guy. And I mean, Nathan Fillion, come on, unbeatable.
More unbeatable than OG Harrison Ford as Han Solo? Because to me, it kind of... I haven't seen that much of Firefly. To me, it kind of sounds like we're choosing between Han Solo and... Well, I guess that is exactly what we're doing. Choosing between Han Solo and Mal Reynolds. But it doesn't sound like there's too much of a separation there between them. So I would just automatically go Han Solo.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I think as we get deeper into this with Firefly, we're going to find that most of the points we talk about with Firefly are the points we brought up with Star Wars. Star Wars just does it better. So I hate to say it, I think Captain Picard's still in the lead here, man. Fuck you for saying Captain Kirk. Next up, we have good old Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty.
Oh, you're not going with Morty?
Dude, no, there's not even... The reason I introduced Rick first is because there's no question. He is by far the smartest, most adept. I mean, Morty can fly the spaceship, sure, but only Rick can do it while he's drunk. So, I mean, point Rick.
Best captain in the galaxy, but only when I want to be. Yeah, I think he takes it on this one.
I mean, see, I want to bring up Ripley and Alien, but Alien's our next one, I should say. And I don't know if Ripley qualifies as a captain. You know, she flies her own ship at the end of the movie and is beating the fuck out of some aliens. She's definitely going to inspire leadership, but I just don't think she has enough qualifications as a ship captain specifically to really factor in. And as much as I hate to say it, I think Rick, unfortunately, is the best captain on this ship.
I agree with that one.
Write it down. That's a category for Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
Dude, I swear to God, if we go through all of this and just come out the other side deciding to move to Rick and Morty, I'm be pretty excited.
I wouldn't.
But also a little upset because All right, but
Because I wouldn't just want to be an average person in the Rick and Morty universe.
see, that's the problem. Is like we're not going to be on Rick's ship if we're in Rick and Morty, and if we're not named Morty, we're expendable. So, you know what? I might I might throw a little wild card out there and come up with a different idea by the end. But you know, let's put that aside. Let's say, regardless of how we're traveling, what is the process of traveling like in these universes? You know, how easy is it to travel around and just go about your day, go about your business? We're gonna start again with the Expanse. You know,
I mean, it's kind of just like normal traffic, but in space. You can go fast if you have the fuel, if you have a really cool ship. You can get pulled over by space patrols, but then also you can you can come upon trap ships that are sending out SOSs, and you board them and then die. So
that's fun. So, well, let me ask you this: is there, because like in Star Wars, for example, there's a lot of times kind of way stations, it seems like, hanging out in orbit, you know, when they'll use like the blasters. Is there anything like that, or are you just free to fly up to a planet and land on it? Do you need any special...
you can. I mean, other than like Earth or Mars or the three main countries, if we're sticking with the Game of Thrones comparison, the three main entities in the Expanse is Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt. So each one of those nations kind of has their own procedures and like speed limits and stuff, and it depends on whose airspace you're in. But there's not a ton of way stations. It's
just kind of like loosey goosey. Just
you can absolutely get stranded out in space. Mm-hmm.
Damn, dude, that's fucking. See, I guess so. The next question then would be about Star Wars. I guess that's one in favor of Star Wars. It's both easy to travel, whereas or similarly to the Expanse, where if you have a ship, just pick a planet and go there. But there's also safety nets in place, I feel like, in Star Wars, both with like Republic captains, clone troopers during the Clone Wars, stormtroopers if they're in a good mood, or like the rebel
even in this last
Mando.
Yeah,
exactly. And so, you know, all of that to say, there are safety nets in place to prevent you from just getting stranded out in space like that. You know, there's a universal call signal. And so, I mean, for me, you know, it may be a little shitty because I haven't seen The Expanse, but I'm going to lean Star Wars, at least right off the bat here, because it's got the same freedom, but with a little bit more safety involved.
I agree, too. I agree, too, because The Expanse is more time to put in restrictions and make it more lifelike to travel. With the Star Wars franchises, it's really just been like, oh, we need to get to this clear other side of the galaxy, back to this space western idea. We just need to get to point B, and there's not a lot exciting happening between point A and point B. So I do think Star Wars is definitely takes the cake here so far. But Star Trek.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's technically just as open travel-wise in Star Trek as it is in The Expanse or in Star Wars. But I feel like the biggest thing here is the way that humans and Starfleet have colonized the galaxy, or at least, if it's already been colonized, I guess, in a lot of places, just connected it in a way where travel is commodified in the same way it is nowadays, where it's expensive to go on trips and do all this unless you're just going on a road trip or on just a quick trip or have a specific job that's taking you out of the atmosphere. You know, unless you're well off, you have that job, or just find a place like a planet where it's easy to travel, where you can take rockets up to the atmosphere, come back down real quick, you're very likely not going to see much of the universe in Star Trek without one of those positions or one of those reasonings behind travel. You know, it's not quite the same as I have a ship, so I'm going to leave. Like, it's a little bit closer to, you know, me having a plane in real life. I have to store it at an airport and get special permits to fly it, and then get special permission to take off when I'm going to fly, how long I'm going. And so, you know, it just depends on what kind of travel you're looking for there. But I think for the most part that Star Wars' freedom and safety is still the perfect mix there. I don't know. What do you think?
I do think we are overlooking one thing in Star Trek, and that is the ability to be beamed. As long as you have Scotty, I guess. But that would make travel so fucking easy. And
Fuck Star Wars.
Are there limitations of beaming? Can you be beamed like clear across the galaxy?
So, you know,
Let's give this.
I don't know.
Does beaming kill you?
So, well, let's think about it. So in the first new Star Trek movie, they have trouble beaming up Spock's mom because she's moving. Though technically, if you're on a planet, you're always moving because the planet's moving. But let's just get rid of that for a minute. So, I mean, I would guess that beaming
it's called transporter.
down. Well, yeah. But I think beaming down to a planet, you might have a distance. But if you're beaming from one transporter room and one ship to another transporter room and another ship or in another building, I think as long as there's a network connecting those, you should be good to go, right?
Yeah.
At the very least, there would be like a system of just like beaming you and like in sections, you know, to get you places.
Yeah. So according to the original series writer's guide, the effective range is about 40,000 kilometers, although thick layers of rock can reduce the range.
Oh, because of course they can. Well, I completely forgot all about that. Fuck Star Wars. Star Trek and teleporting is the way to go. And along with that,
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's really all I have
what's
to
travel
say there.
like in Firefly? It sounds like they're just kind of always out there hanging out.
Yeah, it's like I know you're not a huge gamer, but like Red Dead Redemption. Like imagine being just out on the road in the Wild West with your caravan. It's kind of like that. It's pretty close to Star Wars. You know, it's a little bit looser. Sounds like it's closer to The Expanse more than anything, honestly, because there's less of a safety net. It really is like a space western in every sense of the word. So I would still lean towards that. Yeah, and yeah, Marauders, Raiders, all that bullshit. But I would say like it's, you know, travel's still easy. It's not the hardest one on the list to get around, but I'd definitely still lean towards teleporting in Star Trek. I don't know if anything's gonna beat that now. I completely forgot about that.
I think I got something. Rick and Morty.
Oh my God! It's Rick and Morty time.
All over again.
It's
it's so fucking easy in that show. You just gotta open a portal.
It's the point of the show. Yeah, it's the reason the show is a thing, is so we can just watch Rick jump around and do dumb shit. I mean, again, you know, maybe hanging out with Rick as someone who's not his family is a little dangerous. So I'm still gonna lean Star Trek.
I think so too, because and you don't have to worry about having like bad portal fluid from like a sketchy Rick, shit like that.
Yeah, I don't want to go to Butt World. Sounds stinky.
I do want to go.
No, I don't want to go there. I don't. But anyway, so last up we've got Alien, and you know, we don't get a ton about the travel in the films. My impression and takeaway is that most of Alien is like just this late stage, like horrifically late stage capitalistic galaxy that has been just exploited and, you know, turned into how much money can we make off a workforce that we see as expendable. And so a lot of the travel, I think, in this world has become like freighter travel or mining vessels, which is what we see in most of the films about it. And so, you know, outside of the super expensive options that are probably too expensive for anyone that's not at least high up in one of those corporations, if not running it, then yeah, I mean, as long as you're cool with the equivalent of hopping space trains, then go for it. But
yeah, count me out for space trains. I saw Snowpiercer. Put those in space. Double negative for me.
That's such a good point.
So sounds like Star Trek takes the cake here.
Yeah, I think hands down, you know, Rick and Morty really got close, but Star Trek 100%. And speaking of Star Trek, I'm going to go back and change my answer from the first one. Captain Picard. We might have a split decision now, man. We're going to split
What do we do now?
We're going to have a split decision. We're just going to inconclusive results. Maybe I'll move to Star Trek and you'll move to Rick, but I don't know.
You know, I'm okay with going. I'm okay with going Star Trek here, since I don't think Rick could effectively lead a ship. I think he could make you survive and get somewhere, but if you have a ship of like 200 people, look at the Vindicators episode. He doesn't play well with others.
Here's the real question. Are we talking about C-137 Rick, or are we talking about Starfleet Captain Rick? I don't think we need to get into the... Yeah, we don't need to get into the multiple universes bullshit, but I just thought that was interesting. Okay, so let's say we're going on these journeys. We're traveling. We're out there. Where are we going? Vacation, obviously. So, next up, we're going to go through and take a look at which one of these universes would give us the best quality of vacation. So,
yeah, I don't think it's The Expanse. They have such a globally warmed Earth. They've like built a structure around the Statue of Liberty to like keep the water from like going onto it. So the Earth is like dilapidated for sure. Yeah. Like it's underwater, but they built a structure to hold the water back. So like the water probably goes up to like the waist of the Statue of Liberty, but
that's cool.
And that's not even to mention if you've grown up on Mars or in the asteroid belt, you're not used to Earth's gravity, so you got to either
say I'm gonna go and get fat.
Yeah. They like even gravity torture someone in the first episode. They're like, "Oh, you can't stand under your own weight in the gravity here. We're gonna like put your hooks under your arm and make you stand up on a wall until you talk, you terrorist." It's actually
cool. I might just live vicariously through you with this show now. If that's the
no,
first
that's the only
episode.
time. That's the only time.
Oh, I'm sure, guy. Okay, so vacations in The Expanse are out. We're not doing anything except for hiding from shitty people. But in Star Wars, we can go on some pretty dope vacations, man. Some pretty
like
badass
the coolest
planets.
part of the new series is that casino planet.
I don't know about that one. I don't know if I agree with you there, but
that's the planet I would go to.
If I had the money, so if I had the money, I would definitely go there. I don't know if I'd call that the coolest part about the new series. I would, however, say that The Mandalorian has basically just shown us Mando going on a series of continuously escalating vacations. Exactly. He's taking his child. He's showing him the universe. I mean, look, sometimes he gets in some trouble. Yeah, spiders attack his ship. It's blown up. I mean, it happens, but you get to see the galaxy, man. That's pretty dope.
Like, look how beautiful Tatooine is, even with, like, 2004 CGI or whenever Episode 2 came out.
Dude, 2 suns? Sign me up. Double sunrise? That's like a double rainbow, but with suns.
Mm-hmm. And Naboo? Ooh.
Oh, dude.
You get yourself a Padme. You take her to Naboo, and tell me that's not the best vacation ever.
I mean, I'd certainly do a lot more with it than talk about how much I hate sand. I can tell you that much.
It's coarse, and it gets everywhere.
So Star Trek never wanted to hear.
So Star Trek vacations. This is probably pretty similar to Star Wars, but you have that pesky Space Force or whatever they call them in Star Trek hanging around.
Starfleet?
Yeah, Starfleet.
See, I don't know, man. I'm gonna go opposite on you here because I think that this is probably. I'm gonna let you know right now. I think Star Trek's taken this category for me too because this is probably the safest version of a vacation. Like, yeah, that travel like we were talking about is a little bit commodified, but if you're going on a vacation here, there's straight up like full-on resort planets. Like, I would imagine the infrastructure around going on a vacation in Starfleet is very similar to our infrastructure around, like, travel agents. There's bundles and costs and things. And the fact that Starfleet exists means there's a group of planets that are under Starfleet protection that are going to be extremely safe to go to, even if you've never been off your own planet. You can trust that you're going to a safe planet. So
that's like saying I don't want to go to an all-inclusive in Mexico because I don't trust the government there.
Exactly. But in this situation, you do trust the government because it's Starfleet and not...
And I guess you have other options than just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
planet Mexico, but there's also like another planet over there. That's kind of cool. So, I don't know. Anyway, so next up we got Firefly, and I don't know. This one's pretty close to Star Wars. It's a little less structured. It's the Wild West.
Yeah, you definitely got to stay on guard there, even if you're on vacation.
Exactly.
You can
be out lounging by the pool. You gotta have your blaster sitting next to you. And while that sounds like a cool life to go live, if I'm trying to relax, I don't know if that's for me.
Yeah, I need an off day. Now, would Rick and Morty really go on vacations?
Well,
they kind of do these adventures. They have the Atlantis one that they kind of throw off in the third episode. They have Boob World that Morty doesn't get to go to and Summer does. So that
Blips and Chips.
Blips and Chips.
100%. Dude, I lied. I think Rick and Morty might win. See, here's the difference though. Star Trek would have like super expensive but exciting. Rick and Morty is just like free as shit and you can go anywhere. I'm so in on that. Yeah.
Oh, and then you can go to that arcade, play the Simple Rick game, or what's the game there where you like live a whole life as someone.
Fucking,
Roy, he's taking Roy off the map.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah, no, I mean, Alien. I don't think vacation is even a word in the vocabulary anymore in that world. You know, unless you again have that corporate money. For the most part, most trips off world are gonna be mining vessels that end in an alien infestation based on the track record. So
like the Captain Phillips version of space travel?
Exactly. But you don't get any cool memes, you just get a hole in your chest.
Oh.
Which, like, that's a cool souvenir, I guess, but I'd rather have a bunch of Blips and Chips tickets.
Yeah, so I think Rick and Morty takes this one.
That's surprising. Okay, so just to check in here,
to tally.
We're 2 Star Trek, 1 Rick and Morty.
That is correct.
Man, I do not know what I expected going into this, but I did not expect us to be 2 Star Trek and 1 Rick and Morty. But here we are.
Not either. Yeah, ever since we did the recount there on Captain, it is 2 to Star Trek and 1 to Rick and Morty.
That felt like the right move. If we were 2 to 1, Rick and Morty was up right now, I don't know if I'd feel okay.
Yeah, because, Rick is just so far out there, you never know what's going to happen with him, which, if you were on a trip with him, you're probably going to get arrested. You're going to spend some time at least talking to an authority. So,
well, he's had his run-ins with authority. I can say that confidently.
No.
So there's no doubt that you would also have run-ins with said authorities. And my concern, I do want to mix up and start with Rick and Morty here while we're talking about it. My concern specifically with that is it's just, regardless of what I get taken in for, there's at least a 50-50 chance that I'm going to get killed. Even just for breathing wrong in Rick and Morty. And I should say, that's this next category is, what are the odds that you'll be killed for a crime, even if that's just an alleged crime, even if that's just petty theft. What's the criminal justice system like in these universes? And in Rick and Morty, I gotta say, not great.
Yeah, not great unless your name is Rick Sanchez.
Yeah, but even then, he had to kill a bunch of other Rick Sanchez's, so it's literally, if you're only the one specific Rick Sanchez.
Yeah, and you have not 1, but 2 galactic federations. You got the old one you destroyed, the new and improved one with their shitty Death Star thing.
Which, how improved is it? I mean, we don't know. So.
Does not sound great. I would say, great.
Out of the one that we reviewed so far, Rick and Morty is in a solid last place.
Yeah, no doubt. The Expanse.
Yeah,
you're also kind of pretty fucked, because if your captain decides they really don't like you, they might just throw you out into space.
That's kind of what I got. Well, isn't Homeboy the shithead from Game of Thrones who took over Craster's Keep with the Night's Watch and helped kill Mormont? Isn't he also an asshole in the Expanse that likes to fuck people up?
Oh, he sure is.
Yeah, that dude's still there. I don't want to be a part of that. No, not at all. No, thank you, sir.
And that's when you're off planet. When you're on planet, you have to put up with these shitty cops, like whether it's the UN on Earth, whether it's the hella Martian regime there, or the corrupt cops of the The asteroid belt. You don't have a ton of luck here.
Yeah,
Star Wars.
so I'd say that's also in last place.
Yeah.
See, with Star Wars, I think it depends on the planet because think of Tatooine, especially when it's under Empire control. Stepping the wrong way could definitely get you a nice, it could get you a nice laser shot to the kidney, but
Or from a Sandman.
as long as you. Oh, I didn't even think about that. See, but they're not law enforcement though, so
That's true.
I guess they might be a form of law. If you're a Sandman who fucks up and get killed by another Sandman, then that's law enforcement, and you're fucked. But at the end of the day, I think you got a solid 70% chance of coming out of every brush with the law alive in Star Wars. But even look at like Mando's interactions with the Republic fighters in these recent episodes in this season 2, like they're pretty big bitches to him off the bat. So I know that he, I think, was a fugitive at the time or maybe wanted for something, but like you say something wrong and when they already have their guns drawn on you and it's probably game over. So 70-30, you'll live in Star Wars.
Which is the best odds we have so far.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible. So,
but then also that baked into that 70% chance of living is a chance that you're living on a concentration camp or like Imperial build planet.
Well, yeah, but I guess at that point then you're not dying immediately, but you'll probably die on that planet, so we can still chalk that up as a death. So
yeah,
that's a good point.
24601.
So I'll call it like a 60-40 then, but still doesn't inspire confidence in the legal system.
No. Star Trek, I mean, you have court at least, and shit ton of people there at court.
Well, in one of the movies and in multiple episodes, I'm pretty sure Kirk is court-martialed. So if that's still
the first movie.
Yeah, so if that's still formal enough to be in place, and like in another one, he goes in front of that council, I think in the beginning of the second one, like there's systems in place that mirror our current legal system, and really what that boils down to is that you're innocent until proven guilty in most cases, and outside of just like a horrifically heinous or violent crime where you're going on a spree and still actively fighting law enforcement, I'd say your odds are pretty high that you'll make it out of every interaction alive, even if you're doing something really bad, just because you're going to have your day in court, unless you're really
Look how long Khan made it for.
God, dude. And that's the other thing. He didn't even die the first time. He just got put into a missile.
Yeah, they like launched him somewhere.
That was weird. Kind of fucked up when you think about it, actually, though, that the criminal justice system found missile jail as the
it's like the jail from the
people and then putting them in missiles.
It's like the jail from the Watchmen series.
It is, and I am still not sold now that we bring it up on the idea of getting arrested by Starfleet. I don't want to be put in a missile.
Yeah. Yeah. Firefly, hopefully you got a good sheriff.
I mean, good sheriff or good aim at the end of the day.
That's true, too.
Because in the Wild West, what are they going to do? Shoot back?
How good's Nathan
if you miss,
Fillion's aim?
I think he misses a lot, but like enough for it to be one of those like, pew pew, he saves the day with a final shot type thing. So,
ooh.
I don't know. I mean, as long as you're willing to shoot your way out of every conflict,
his misses
I
are
think
good
you'll
for
be
the
good.
Story.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Exactly. He's got those stormtrooper misses.
That makes sense.
Rick but no, yeah.
Oh, we already talked Rick and Morty.
Yeah, shit's fucked.
Yeah. Alien.
What it says. Well, so here's the pro for Alien. You're very unlikely to die immediately.
That's a plus. Live another day. That's all you need to do.
That's the plus.
Oh.
The con here is that for the most part, I would assume that you're going to be put to work on a mining ship very, very far from where you're actually from. And again, going on the track record that this series has shown so far, going out on a mining expedition means you're likely to get a hole in your chest or some alien acid in your face,
Ew.
generally have a bad time. So
No.
Yeah, I don't want to go to get arrested in general, but definitely not in the alien universe. And as scary as it is to get turned into a missile, I think Star Trek wins again here. I mean,
Wow.
maybe Star Wars.
Maybe Star Wars
See,
though. Because once you get the Empire out of the way and have like a good government, you're mostly okay unless you're on the Outer Rim. So I think
I
I
mean,
might go.
let's be honest though. Like even the governments outside of the Empire were pretty useless. So yeah, no, I think I lean Star Wars for sure because I was gonna say Firefly because if you're willing to shoot your way out, you can get through anything. But it's even true in Star Wars, baby. Hit that outer world life like you're saying. I'm
Oh
never
yeah,
going to jail.
yeah. What would you go to jail for?
Well, I mean, it depends. I feel like there's two main categories here. We can do something small scale, like the equivalent to a pool hall scam, and then we can have those large scale heists. You know, the real Ocean's 11.
Great lines.
Bruh. But let's start with pool hall. So a smaller level scam. Basically, what we want to know is like how easy do you think it is to get away with a smaller, like, again, just a pool hall level hustling or just some kind of scam like that. I'm going to start us right off the top with Star Wars. I think it's about 50-50 on how easy it is for small scale scams. I'm going to tell you why. Because we see multiple times in when various characters visit Mos Eisley, the villainous hive of, oh no, I fucked it up. The hive of scum and villainy. I think that's what it is. Anyway.
That is. That sounds right.
Okay. So anyway, so they go there and like, it's the hive of scum and villainy. You're going to be able to get away with some shit. But if you scam the wrong person, a la Greedo, you're going to get shot. Or that
Real
dude
quick.
who tries to step to Obi-Wan and gets his arm chopped off. Like, so it really just depends on who you're fucking with. But I think as long as you keep it small and just don't fuck with a Jedi, probably golden.
And like, how much further do we need to look than Han Solo here? He was pretty much just perpetually running little pool hall scams for the gangster Jabba, and he was terrible at it. And if one of the best captains ever is that bad at it, I don't feel like you're gonna have a ton of luck.
See, the problem there though is that Han was also charismatic as fuck. So you got to be
could talk
both
his way out of
charismatic.
things. Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, I think you got a pretty good chance of making it out of Star Wars. Just don't scam a bounty hunter, a Jedi, or a gangster, and you'll probably fly under the radar for at least a year and a half before.
Yeah, so you're like Max here. I think is about a "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" scheme. Like it might be profitable a little, but ultimately it's gonna go downhill.
Oh my god! You know what's a side note? I really want to see an "It's Always Sunny" style show set in a bar in the Star Wars universe.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Especially like a space bar or some shit.
Dude, and then literally like just the same characters, just the same characters, just with different names and doing the same shit just in space, fucking with aliens.
How long would Charlie Kelly survive though? You know he would forget oxygen like on a spacewalk and then.
See, but I also think he's just crazy enough to live through it. Like he's huffing paint and fucking sitting on stools with nails in them. Like that dude is invincible. I don't know.
He doesn't need a ton of oxygen to begin with.
He's straight up munching on barnacles in one episode. I don't think his oxygen levels should be what's concerning in this situation.
Well, in The Expanse, it is pretty easy to get away with things. There, especially if you're in the Outer Rim, in the asteroid belt. Not the Outer Rim, that's Star Wars. But you can get away with pretty much whatever. The cops aren't going to say anything. Most of the time, the cops are going to be in on it with you, so you're good there. Easy to buy cops. That's got to be a factor. I think between The Expanse and Star Wars, yeah.
Let me throw this at you. If it's that easy to buy cops, wouldn't the fear be that someone else will just buy the cops out from under you while you're in the middle of this scam? Then you end up dead. They end up with your money, and the cops are skate off home free regardless.
True.
Corruption's that deep,
I guess most of my thinking about this question has been like, are you going to get arrested or not? But that is a good point. That, yeah, you got to worry about other people than the cops.
Well, you also have to, and that's if the cops are that easily buyable, then you got to worry about, even if you're running a small scam, someone else can come through. If you're running a scam against a company with more money, they can come through, pay off them cops. Yeah. Them cops can be like, oh, that's a cool scam. Bang, bang, bang.
That's a good point. So easy to get away with in The Expanse, but only up to a certain point.
Yeah, like the process of getting there is probably pretty stressful, but once it's done, and you can usually move forward with your life from there. Yeah. That kind of what you're... Okay, that makes sense. True. Well, you know, I think the exact opposite is the case with Star Trek. Because of Starfleet, I think it is next to impossible probably to get away with any small-scale scam, just because of how much of a... It's not like a police state, but just in a surveillance state that Starfleet operates in.
Starfleet kind of feels like our government that we've been pretending isn't monitoring us is doing now. Yeah. Like
Space Big Brother.
It's Big Brother, but everyone just ignores it and doesn't call it that.
In space! I hope that wasn't super loud. But see, so... Yeah, because even, think about the first Star Trek movie. It's not a scam, technically, but Kirk's getting in bar fights and immediately gets called out by Starfleet. So I know he was doing that right next to their training center, but whatever.
Yeah, I think Star Wars has the technology to monitor people just like Star Trek does. The difference is Star Trek actually fucking uses it.
Well, and Star Trek has one governing body that has overseen every phase of that universe's life in Starfleet, whereas you go back even before the Republic, there's a government before that in Star Wars, then the Republic, then the Empire, then the New Republic, then the First Order, the Resistance, the New Republic, maybe? I don't know.
Then whoever they need to be the bad guys in the next movie.
Yeah, and so that type of shuffle and overturn definitely makes it a little bit easier to fly under the radar with small-scale stuff. So, I'm definitely still thinking Star Wars, right? Out of these... We're halfway through so far. I think
so, too. But I'm not going to lie, Firefly doesn't sound like the worst one to live in. Obviously, you're going to have the bandits and people coming to kill you, but as long as you're...
But, I mean, in this situation, you're technically one of the bandits.
Right, yeah. So it's kind of going to be back to The Expanse, where it's like, okay, who has the last laugh here?
See, the thing is, I think Firefly... I don't know, because it is such a it's everyone is out to scam in Firefly to a certain extent, whether it's the large scale heist that we'll talk about, which is I think where the majority of Firefly success would be, where the majority of our success would be if we were in Firefly would be more with those large scale heists, because these smaller scams, functionally it may be easier because there's less governing bodies, but there's, the bartender that you have to watch out for who could pull a gun from under the counter and shoot you. There's the two dudes waiting by the door who were planning on scamming, saw you doing it, and are waiting for you to leave so they can shoot you. There's the guys who are hanging out by your ship just kind of eyeing it, seeing what goes on. There's so many other steps there that makes it, I feel hard to pull off the small-scale scams on, the recurring basis you need to.
That's true. So I guess still Star Wars then.
Yeah, I mean Star Wars. I'm looking at Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty, yeah. How is that different from us just running a pool hall scam right now?
Straight up, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on some of the other planets people are stupider, but especially on Jupiter.
I don't know. Earth has got a lot of stupid people.
You're telling me you couldn't get one over on Gearhead?
Dude, I think Gearhead would get one over on me. He'd just distract me talking about the Gear Wars. I do want to know about the Cog... What is it, the Cog Wars?
Yeah.
See? See, yeah, I don't think I could get away with a scam on Gearhead, because he would just start talking about the Cog Wars and I would pass out. Then he would scam me. He would take my wallet and
just... Yeah, he'd take your wallet, your kidney.
God, yeah, so...
But they do have a whole convention dedicated to heisting, which maybe that's better to say for the next category. But I don't feel like Alien's going to take this either. I'm good giving this to Star Wars.
Yeah, no, we could talk about how an alien, you're likely to just get arrested and again sent to a work ship where you're probably going to die, either from being overworked or, again, those pesky aliens. Oh, and let's also not forget that the Predators technically exist in the alien universe. Yes. So, if
so
those are the police
Arnold
guys hunting you, oh my god, and Arnie, who is a stand-up dude, if he sees you doing something wrong, you know you're getting your shit kicked in, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, Star Wars 100%.
So, to retally, we got Star Trek 2, Star Wars 2, and Rick and Morty 1. Moving on to those large-scale heists, I feel like we should start with Rick and Morty since we teased it with their heist convention. What's the name of the guy? Like Neil Knightley or something?
Heisty McHeistface. Yep, what you said.
I think I would have liked Heisty McHeistface better. But yeah, you do see large-scale heists being executed on a pretty frequent basis, usually by Rick and Morty, but also in this heist episode.
Honestly, also... See, okay, so here's the question, because we do see heists a lot, and they seem to be pretty easy to get away with. But is that only because it's Rick Sanchez, the smartest man in the universe, planning those heists?
Yes,
who has a contingency and an
true.
invention for everything. So, I mean, we could chalk that up to, like, it could be easy to heist things if you're able to form a perfect plan.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be able to form a perfect plan and also have inventions to counteract whatever is thrown at you. So,
which the average person is probably not going to have. So I don't think Rick and Morty takes it. What are you thinking about Star Trek?
See, I think to a certain extent, like, so we were talking about Oceans, for example. They rob in Oceans increasingly larger amounts of money from increasingly larger scores, like bigger casinos, bigger scores, bigger things over the course of that series. And I think that's where you could really make your money in Star Trek. I think Starfleet would be so worried and wrapped up in the minutia that, especially if you're able to do a classic Oceans move and like shut down an entire sector of surveillance or something, or shut down, like, if you can get in and out and just bounce, I think the infrastructure in Star Trek, it may be harder for the government to, or for Starfleet to counteract those larger heists. Does that make sense? Am I talking gibberish?
It does. But on the other side of that coin is I think Star Trek has a disadvantage here because they are just one centralized government. There's not like competing governments that there's
you couldn't
one
fly out to the outer
government
rim
with
hide.
one focus. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. You're regardless of where you go, you're a Starfleet fugitive in Starfleet airspace or Starfleet, like on a Starfleet controlled planet, unless you go out and hang out with the Borg or one of the like straight up villains of the universe. Which no thanks.
And the people chasing you all have the same resources, the same like body of knowledge, the same. They're all one government chasing you. They don't have to worry about like different governments working together to catch you.
Yeah, we're not looking at the bureaucracy that we would now when there's that planet and that planet and that planet all use different programs. It's like, nah, Starfleet's tracking the data regardless of where we go. So that's actually a good point.
Right.
See,
like in The Expanse, you have the three different. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I didn't have anything else. No, I don't have anything else.
So in The Expanse, you have your three different entities: the asteroid belt, the Mars, and Earth. And so I think it would be pretty easy to run a large-scale heist in one of those, get out, get to somewhere that's either like you can build an alliance with and they'll say you're safe, or just go where someone hasn't gone before and stay.
Yeah, I was going to say literally just like heist something off Earth, get past Mars and you're golden. Like once you're in that asteroid belt, you're virtually unfindable. Just hide behind a rock.
The one thing, though, is you have to get off Earth before the like planetary defense cannons can blow you sky high.
What?
Oh,
I didn't know there were cannons involved, dude. What?
Oh, they have like satellites and shit that protect like each of the planets. Yeah.
So this feels like an important thing to include.
Oh yeah.
So
you gotta get out of the range of those, which are pretty short range. But you got to get out
but again,
of those
that's like
range.
an Oceans level thing. You can shut down those cannons just shoop, and get out of there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Some heist shit.
Which
Okay.
may or may not happen.
Well, so I mean, Expanse has the best odds so far. They're still not great.
Yeah. What about Firefly?
See, I think this is where Firefly really shines. It's the big, large-scale heist. Again, you're in the Wild West. You know, every store owner, every small saloon operator is going to have a gun underneath the bar. You know, it's going to have
space
weapons. Yeah, it's going to have all this shit in space. They're ready to throw down on anyone who looks sketchy that comes into their establishment. So the way to do it is to rob a bank. You know, attack some big like Fort Knox style treasury or like an armory or something like that. And those are, you know, definitely heavily guarded compared to the other places. But I feel like in Firefly, you know, especially with not one centralized government, not even like 3 or 4 in the same way, at least that has the same strength in some of these other properties. You know, you get a haul of whatever valuable resource from a cache at a bank or whatever equivalent, and you get off planet, you're probably good.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like in the Firefly universe, it's so easy to stock up, to put together a crew and just go in guns a-blazing and us versus y'all. Let's see who wins. Yeah.
Yeah, again, as long as you're ready to shoot your way out of that situation and just get the hell out of Dodge once it's done, I think heisting's going to be the move in Firefly. But what do we have?
What about
we talked
Alien?
about I was going to say, yeah. Well,
I feel like you're just going to end up with a hole in your chest again.
See, that's the thing. I feel like you can heist all the ship. Like, the biggest score would be finding a derelict mining vessel just kind of floating around. You go up there, you're like, yeah, we're going to strip this bitch. We're going to sell it for parts. We're going to find all the materials on it. And then you're like, what's that? And then you get killed by an alien. So, like,
oh, over there.
And then, yeah, you don't know. There's just a little mouth, and it pokes you in the eye. It kind of hurt, but... did we talk about Star Wars?
Yeah, finally
one, right?
Star Wars. And I feel like Star Wars is interesting here because you do see successful heists in Star Wars.
I'm thinking of Solo. That train heist at the beginning of Solo. Like, and they were talking about that like it was a pretty run-of-the-mill... Like, I know it was an intense job, but they were talking about it like it was a pretty run-of-the-mill operation to just be heisting. I mean, Woody Harrelson's character in that was literally one last job to settle it. So, like, he's made a life out of heisting.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be pretty lucrative if you're doing it right?
You're the guy for a job. But
dude, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you... And, like...
Everyone in Star Wars knows a guy for a job.
All of Rogue One is just a big job of stealing the plans. Like, all of Episode 4 is just the big heist of blowing up the Death Star and figuring out that. So I feel like Star Wars is literally a universe created for heists. Yes, Episode 7 too.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. And even like
not
you
really
look at
any
Rogue One
of the
and be like,
prequels, though.
"Oh, that failed." Be like, "Well, it failed more on a technicality than like anything they did."
Yeah.
So, and I mean, you could call I'm trying to think of a good heist in the prequels. Well, you could call the Geonosis battle at the end of Attack of the Clones like a large-scale heist, or Anakin murdering the younglings heist. Nothing but heisted. Star Wars again.
Yo, what heist you pulling today? Oh, I'm gonna go murder some teenage.
I'm gonna go stab some little kids with a lightsaber.
Yeah. So I feel like this
one... You're caught up on the Mandalorian, right?
No.
All right. Well then.
I will be after tonight.
All right.
So I will text you then. But so I feel like this one's between Star Wars and Firefly.
See, I say Star Wars just because literally every character in Star Wars, quote unquote, knows a guy for this job, and at a certain point, there's so many of these guys that it's just like, are y'all even fucking prosecuting? Like, come on.
Right.
It seems like they're not. So, yeah.
Yeah, you told me to catch up on Mando last night, and I finished the Queen's Gambit instead.
Yeah, it's a real king.
Which is worth it
right there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
So then, animals. There's got to be some weird animals in some of these universes. Not in The Expanse, though. There's like no animals in that at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't I would expect as much after learning that the Statue of Liberty is like dick deep in water. So,
Yeah.
or I guess vag deep. I'm sorry.
Hey, well, we don't know her gender identity.
You're right. I don't know what's going on under that.
Their
Robe?
gender identity. So yeah, Expanse is out. Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars. Pick one. You got for every dope ass little Pog Penguin or like Ice Fox from The Last Jedi. You got a fucking Rancor. You got a giant sandworm. You got a crate
Ice
dragon.
Spider.
But then you have little. I don't know if we call Baby Yoda an animal, but you got cute stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There's
You
also,
got,
like,
you got
cats.
everything in Star Wars.
Chewbacca is definitely an animal. Ewoks, yeah. I mean, I think yeah. So it depends. You know, I'm looking.
You have
for some
sentient
good
animals
pets.
then,
Exactly.
if we're counting Chewbacca, so that's kind of cool.
So, but then again, you also have all the murdery ones too. So it's kind of a toss up there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, real luck
Next
of the
up-
draw.
it really is like they flew into that cave in Empire Strikes Back, and they were in a giant space worm's mouth. Like, that's not cute.
Yeah, no. But Star Trek, I feel like it's pretty much just the same as what we have now, with then like some alien-y animals added in, because like, what are you gonna do? Not have any?
You know what I just remembered is actually, let's see, Spock. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh, that's not good. So I agree with you about Star Trek, but you saying that just reminded me of during the old or in the original series. Oh, what was this dog? In the original series, they tried to pass off this dog dressed up in a
Is that a
furry
lion?
suit with a horn as like some alien creature. And so all I'm saying is, yeah, you might have some pretty similar creatures to now. I think they're hunting for whales in one of these movies, but you also got this fucking thing. I don't know. It's like a furry, small Loch Ness monster with the face of a dog.
Yeah.
Just to give a brief. It's like a fuzzy narwhal with a dog face. So I'm kind of in on that, man. Like,
That's not terrible. Just having like obviously like Earth animals in costumes.
exactly. If that's the worst types of animals, like worst case, we're gonna get a pretty angry lion with some makeup on, and
With, like,
I
a
think I
bow
can
tie.
take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna look classy as fuck.
Yeah, and then I'll just ask him if he'd rather just get dinner and talk out our problems, and he'll probably say yes. What animals are there in Firefly?
So this was kind of difficult. You know, it was a low budget show in the early 2000s, so it's not like they had a ton of free cash to spend on animal wranglers or even like CG animals. But there are specific mentions, references to, and shots of horses and dogs. So we know for sure they exist. Beyond that, I expect it to just be pretty similar to what we have now with less diversity. You know, if the Expanse is the worst case scenario of all animals have died out due to whatever factors, environmentally, over exploiting that resource as humans, whatever it is, we're probably in the in-between, if we're in Firefly, between where we are now and where we are in the Expanse. You know, there's some around a lot of the more popular and less populous animal species have gone extinct, but horses, dogs, cats, maybe a few alien animals throw here and there for good measure, but for the most part,
That sounds
I think
quaint.
it's pretty tame. Yeah. You know what doesn't sound quaint?
Rick and Morty,
Any fucking animal from Rick and Morty.
the Cronenbergs, that all
The
fall
Crumble
in love
Bops?
with Morty. Yeah, where they have to fucking ditch a planet because they turn them all into animals, like praying manti.
The Duffel MacGyvers. It's literally
Those little slug things where he's like, ugh, if you put this into a food chain, it'll wipe out a whole species.
I forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'm probably gonna pass on any animal from Rick and Morty, because even like if you want to call
Even if
Bird
you take
Person
an
animal,
average one, like a dog, Rick still finds some fucking way to give it sentience and make your life hell.
Yeah, that dog fucked shit up pretty bad. So, yeah, I'm out on animals in Rick and Morty.
You know what's more terrifying than Rick and Morty animals, though?
I have a feeling.
Fucking aliens
Yeah.
that pop out of
We
your
don't need
chest.
to say much more than that. Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, these things hug your face, lay eggs in your stomach, leave you alive, to then explode out of your chest once they've reached gestation age. Ugh. I don't even know if that's right. Yeah.
And like the egg
Either way.
episode. Oh. Sorry, that was back on Rick and Morty. Yeah.
Oh.
But
yeah,
neither
I
of
forgot about
those.
that.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Oh.
But they didn't do.
Yeah,
the
it just sounds like a
9/11
bad
joke.
time all around.
So, for this one, I feel like it's between Star Trek and Firefly.
Star Trek and Firefly. Let's see.
And while like
I'm hands
having,
down Star Trek, dude. That little dog narwhal looking thing. I gotta look at this thing again while we're talking about it. What's up? What are you saying?
just Google Star Trek dog alien, and
It's amazing.
you'll know who
Yeah.
wins this category.
You'll understand why when you see it.
Star Trek with its point number 3.
That
So-
3-3-1?
It is
3,
3,
2,
2, 1. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh wait,
Star
no,
Trek,
no,
Star
no,
Wars,
no,
Rick.
sorry, you're right. It is 3-3-1.
Okay. Thank God.
Yeah. So we've talked about animals. We've talked about what travel looks like. We've talked about scheming and heisting. We haven't talked about one of the most normal parts of life, which is just odds of being randomly killed somewhere. Whether it's through collateral damage or just something goes wrong.
Yeah, and we should specify what we mean by collateral damage is specifically collateral damage as a result of whatever actions the main characters, quote unquote, for that universe might be taking, while you're living there. So, if you're on Alderaan when the Death Star blows it up, for example, that'd be collateral damage in this situation.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about The Expanse, but it seems like a pretty deadly place.
Oh, you do, yeah. There are so many accidents that can happen where you lose an arm, die.
When you say accidents, makes me think they're not accidents.
Oh no, like just accidents like working on the ships because they have really realistic like space travel, and so it's pretty much like driving a semi through space in some cages or in some instances, or like working on an oil rig like out at sea where it's just like super gross and grimy and anything can go wrong.
Ugh.
There are several accidents, quote, that happen in that too, which are not good. The Expanse is not a good one to start with, but it's the best we have right now.
I'd assume so. So, okay. So, like, pretty high that you're going to die.
Yeah.
So, I'd argue that it's also just as high in Star Wars, simply because of all the bullshit that the main characters find themselves in the middle of, that would then put us in the middle of those situations unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think the odds of
governments.
just... Exactly. Dude, fucking... There's 4 different Death Stars or Death Star-sized weapons that are used over the course of the series so far.
That thing on in the Cloud City, I forget what it's called, but that like freezes people so people
Cloud
can
City.
hang them up on their walls. Yeah.
Carbonite?
Yeah. Like, I don't know if we're going to count that as being killed, but for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I mean, unless you just have,
And if they, like,
a
just
super
have
cool
random
girlfriend
shit
who's going
like
to break
that.
in as a bounty hunter to save you, that's pretty much dying.
Yeah, but if you have, like, random shit like that lying around, like, for use, I don't think you're surviving in Star Wars pretty long.
Well, I mean, take it a step further and look at where Han ends up when he's in Carbonite Freeze. At Jabba's palace, there's both a Rancor in the floor and a Sarlacc out back where they drop people into just for fun. So,
Yeah, that's 2 animals on one planet that could end you pretty quick.
Maybe the lesson to learn here is that in Star Wars, just don't fuck with the gangsters, and you'll probably stay alive for a while.
Or become the gangster.
But Jabba gets choked out, so...
Yeah, that's true. But it's kind of hot.
Yeah, I mean, Leia in the... That's a good point.
Yeah, like if
but
that's what you're into.
Yeah, if that's what you're into, that's one hell of a way to go. I mean, let's be honest.
Which Jabba definitely looks like he was into it, not to kink shame or anything, but
That fat
Jabba,
fuck, yeah. You know
Yeah.
he's into that shit.
he was like, "Ooh, find my neck, woman."
All right, I'm going to move on to Star Trek. I think overall, it's pretty close to the experience that we would have nowadays. You know, it's unlikely that you'll just randomly die unless it's part of like a serial killing or just like the random murders that unfortunately happen in our world today. You know, looking at the films and the TV shows, there is a pretty good chance that if you're in a popular or populous major capital city or on like a major world, that whatever shenanigans the Enterprise is getting up to will probably fuck you up. But you know, even still, like in the one movie where it crashes the first time and takes out the city, it's only like what, 8 blocks.
Yeah, and it's more likely that Starfleet is coming in to save you from something shitty happening to begin with.
Exactly.
Especially if you're just a random person. I think your odds of dying are pretty low here, which is better than our other two. So I think Star Trek is our winner right now. Firefly seems like you could probably survive pretty long. However, there is that
so.
you are in the Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people had full lives in the Wild West. The nice thing here is that regardless of where you live, the main crew is so small that you're very unlikely to cross paths with them unless you're doing something specifically to antagonize them. And so that's a definite plus. And then, you know, you set up a solid livelihood. You get some, maybe you're not the best fighter, but you get some strong men who live near you to really endear themselves to you or endear yourself to them through your products and your services, and they'll take care of you. They won't kill you. You know?
Could be worse.
Yeah. You could be fucking getting blown up by a Death Star.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, see, with Rick and Morty, I feel like we just have to say really one thought to get across what we need to. And that's the fact that no matter what, you're going to live in constant fear that Rick and or Morty could show up at any point, which generally doesn't spell good things for the people they show up.
And you know what I've always thought about is when they're teleporting places, what if there's someone like standing right there? Like what if Rick teleported right to my chair right now? Like what would happen to me? I have a feeling Rick would be here and my body would be all over this room I'm in.
That's such a good question. I mean, if the portal just shows up where you're sitting, you would hope that you would just come out the other end of the portal.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But if it's
fall back into it?
Yeah, but if you're like sitting here and it comes in at a point where it's like halfway through your body, that doesn't sound good.
And
so basically,
does Rick walk into my chest and then out through me? That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I definitely would fear for my life every waking second in the Rick and Morty universe. So I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, Rick's that's done. And I feel like Alien is a lot more on the same level because you could have an alien pop out of your chest.
Also, again, predators exist in this universe, so they just get bored one day and want to come hunt you. There's not really anything you can do about that.
Yeah, you're fucked.
And like even outside of the, if you want to call them extenuating circumstances, even though it's the defining quality of that universe. But anyway, I mean, there's the corporations who see human labor as a, an unending resource, and they don't particularly care for their workers' lives. I'd argue.
Expendable.
Again, just based on expendable. That's the word I'm looking for, but not the cool kind with Sylvester Stallone, the bad kind with a hole in your chest.
Yeah. No, thank you. The Morty kind.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I think it's again between Star Trek and Firefly.
I think it comes down to personal preference. I'm kind of leaning more towards Firefly, honestly, just because you set up an honest livelihood and take care of your shit. You're not really going to get fucked with too much, Whereas in Star Trek, again, there's always the chance that if I live on Earth, that the Enterprise could come screaming into it too fast one day and act as a man-made asteroid and blow us up.
Especially if you live in San Francisco.
Dude, they've fucked that city so hard, so much in the newer movies. I don't even know what to do. But
yeah.
so
Alrighty, so before we get to our last one, let me do a quick tally up here. Looks like we got Firefly 1, Rick and Morty 1, Star Trek 3, Star Wars 3.
Oh baby.
So we got a tie coming into it.
Hey, give me a little virtual high five. We didn't even script this. We just ended up with a tiebreaker on the last category.
Look at that.
Let's go.
So for this last one, let's kind of summarize it all up and how easy is it in these universes to run a normal life? And I feel like we should define normal life first, briefly.
Well, it's like basically the reason I just chose Firefly. It's just make an honest living, get paid for it, and you're not starving, you're not wanting, and you're not running.
Dying.
Basically. Yeah, that's kind of inferred when you're talking about living, but yeah, you're not dying. I guess
that makes a lot. Good point. And I feel like in The Expanse, it's not terrible. You can get on a freighter ship and pull ice from Earth to the belt. You can have a life on Mars. You can have a life in the asteroid belt, but gravity is going to be working against you. Your bone density is not going to be as good.
True.
You're not going to see the sun as much. You're not going to have a sky. So while I'd say it's about average. You're going to have some things that aren't going to go as well, but you can get by. So, okay. But I don't want a normal life to be getting by. What do you think about Star Wars?
I think it's possible, but unless you're like on the upper levels of Coruscant or on one of those really well-off planets that we saw get blown up in The Force Awakens, which that's not really a normal life, I guess. So, whatever. Anyway, you're going to live in, like, take Luke Skywalker, for example. The first time we meet him and Anakin, they're both stuck in a near constant cycle of exploitation. And with Luke, I argue it's borderline poverty because, we never really see his family struggling, but Anakin and his mom definitely are, and all the people around them when we meet them. So it's tough. It's really about what you're born into, and how willing are you to exploit someone else's livelihood for your gain in Star Wars,
And you're always going to have a new government. So I don't know about you, but I feel like it would be pretty difficult to keep finding the new laws that you have to abide by.
That's a good point. Yeah, you could be doing
I can't jaywalk anymore, and it's
then you get shot
finable by murder.
Shoot people. Yeah, exactly.
That wouldn't be too great.
It's not fine.
Star Trek, though, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Star Trek. It's like
society
right now in
but
space.
Then we can travel a little more. Yeah.
Like doctor, lawyer, teacher, soldier.
I don't know how much more normal you could get.
Well, you could not be in space, but that sounds dope as hell. So who would want to do that?
Yeah. If the only difference is you're in space and you need to avoid San Francisco, I think you're good.
I mean, I pretty much avoid San Francisco already just because I'm poor. So,
Makes sense.
But, we kind of already touched on Firefly, though. I just want to touch on it again. You can make it work. You're going to be protecting your land, by yourself or with your crew. And you're probably going to be having to hustle, but you can make your livelihood work. And there's a very small chance that you'll just be randomly killed by some major event or even a small event. As long as you're willing to fight, you can live to be 60, 70, 80 years old.
But I feel like in Firefly, you are living to work, whereas in Star Trek, you're working to live. So
you can find your passion in
Star Trek. I still choose Star Trek here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to farm all day, things like that.
I mean, unless you want to.
Yeah,
unless you want to. Some people. Yeah. But next up, this one is literally as close as you could be to what we do now, and that's Rick and Morty. I mean, you can just stay on Earth, live the life you do now.
Unless Rick Cronenberg's it.
Yeah, I mean...
So it's going to go back to the last one of what collateral damage is there?
I mean, I'd argue that. I mean, nah, that's a good point. If we were originally on the main Earth in Rick and Morty, right now we'd be demon Cronenberg monsters, and that's definitely not a normal life. So
And fucking Jerry would be hunting us. Ugh.
that's true. I will say the one thing that Rick and Morty does kind of have is a lot of these episodes where we see stuff like society devolve and go crazy. Like in the Mad Max episode, we do see society get built back up in some like BS bureaucratic fashion.
That is true. That is true.
And
But
so,
that was just so Rick could get Summer home. Not
exactly.
yeah.
So I was gonna say,
So it's still at Rick's whim.
Mm-hmm. It's less you get to decide to live a normal life, and sometimes you'll
Rick
get pushed back
decides
towards
what
civility.
later. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I feel like it's not at all possible with Alien.
Well, I feel like we're just beating a dead alien here, but the whole
gonna
hole in the
pop out.
chest thing is just not a plus in favor of Alien. I just
No. Yeah. That pretty much ruins all sense of normalcy. And it's not like you can take a vacation in Alien. You can't. Yeah.
I mean, again, those vacations will likely end up with a
hole in your chest.
Yeah, I mean, or just hole in the chest or Predator. Maybe
Or
it could have a
Predator.
mama alien. Dude,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
he could show up too. Yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, you're not working," and then just that's it.
And you're done. That's your life. How sad would that be if the last thing you see is Arnold Schwarzenegger telling you that you are not working hard enough?
That'd be really sad. I didn't think I was going to be that upset by that, but then I actually had the image, and that was so upsetting.
Like him just standing over. Anyway, I think Star Trek wins this one, which works out very well because that gives it its 4th point, which means it wins.
That's so wild. Yeah, no, I agree 100% that Star Trek wins this one, and overall, I'm surprised. I honestly thought Star Wars, Firefly, maybe The Expanse would pull it out, but Star Trek, just as a summary, you got Starfleet, you got those baller vacations, you got Captain Picard, or I guess Captain Kirk if you want, and you're a fucking loser.
Yeah.
You got fucking I mean, I just
Great travel.
thank you.
Really the only thing where it goes wrong is if you try and break the law, which, I mean, how often are we doing that anyway?
Well,
Well,
not a lot.
hey, plausible deniability guy.
That's what I said. Not a lot.
True enough. Well, I gotta head south.
Wings up, boys. Hang on. Wings up, boys.